It's amazing to have you here in Vienna. What was your first thought when you get the invitation to come to us here?
Was yes, to say yes and come. And I haven't regretted it. The beer's been lovely. I've been drinking lots of beer. But plan to go and do the Christmas markets and go to the cathedral tonight. But then I fly home on Sunday.
I'm sure you have been on many other conventions. What does it mean for you to go to conventions like here in Vienna?
I think it's amazing. For me, it's a chance to experience a new city, meet the fans, and sort of acknowledge that The Hobbit, which is probably the most well-known thing that I'm here for, the story lives on, and then the fans still watch these movies and still read these books, and it's lovely to know that your work has a longevity to it. So yeah, that's what I like about it.
If my researchers are right, The Hobbit was your first film.
Indeed, yeah.
How does it come?
How did it come about?
Yes.
Well, I had an audition for The Hobbit from my agent, and at that time I auditioned for Bilbo Baggins because Martin Freeman couldn't do it because of Sherlock that he was doing. So I went up for an audition, not thinking anything of it because it was my first movie audition, and then I got a phone call a couple of days later saying, "You're definitely not Bilbo Baggins, but Peter Jackson, Fran, Philippa, they fell in love with your tape and they've decided to write and develop one of the dwarfs around my audition." So I was thrilled. Not only did I get to play one of the dwarfs in the trilogy, but also that they were adapting it and it was inspired by my performance. So I just thought that was great.
What can you tell us about your audition? Because it was your first one.
I don't know. Maybe I was really nervous. I think I was very nervous, and I think I knew I gave a quality. You go into these rooms and you make a decision. You make a very clear decision of what you should do, and I think I went in with a strong decision to make my performance quite clown-like and nerdy and geeky and childlike, and I think that's what they saw and liked.
What can you tell us about filming The Hobbit? Because it's such a great movie, or such great three movies. So how was it for you filming it?
Oh, amazing. I had spent 2 years in New Zealand. I met the nicest people in the world. Crew, cast, the creative team. And I had the best time of my life, really, down in New Zealand for 2 years. So it was a wonderful experience. I was treated so well, and I learned so much as well, being on that set. And, and those friends are friends for life on that film.
Can you tell us any special story from the time?
Don't really know any special stories. We have so many funny stories and funny times when we are together. But to think of one out, I guess filming the barrel scene was really funny, which was the scene in the South Island down the Pelorus River, and the dwarfs were put into barrels and were literally floated down the river. And we didn't laugh so much. I mean, we laughed so much that time on that couple of days, seeing grown men in barrels going down a river was pretty hysterical. And there's one point where John Callan, who played Oin, went over the barrier. There was a barrier there to stop the barrels from going, and somehow his barrel went over the barrier, and Peter Jackson said cut, and we all stopped and then looked up and saw John just still in his barrel going down the river towards this waterfall, and everyone was like, "Get John back quick! Get John back quick!" So luckily there was an amazing team that got him back, but it was quite hairy at times going down there.
As you talked about water, your next big step in your career was Pirates of the Caribbean. How did you get this role?
I sent a tape off to my manager in LA, and I had a phone call back saying, "Okay, what height are you?" and sort of like asking me lots of things that I was like, "Oh, this is a bit peculiar." And then she rang me and said, "They loved you. They want you to be Johnny Depp's new gang member." So yeah, I went to Australia and I filmed that for 6 months. It was amazing.
How was it playing with Johnny Depp?
Good fun. Yeah, he's a great character and a lovely guy as well. Yeah, and he's just Jack Sparrow. I mean, I grew up watching those movies, and him coming onto the pirate ship it's just very surreal. You know.
Is he in real as funny as Jack Sparrow in the films?
He is very funny. Yeah, he is very funny, and would constantly show us YouTube clips of really funny things he'd been Googling in his break, which is quite funny.
You started your career on the stage. How different is it for you to play before the camera and on the stage?
Very, very different. I mean, the theatre is immediate and it's in the now, and that's what I love about it. And especially for me, I came from a comedy background, so I was always working with the audience, playing off them, trying to keep the laughs coming, bubble the plot along. Behind the camera, very different. Doesn't work like, well, usually in the sort of scope of a play. It's sort of very cut up into pieces. So that can be challenging as an actor to think where your journey is as a performer during the thing, during the show. But I think I like both of the mediums. I love you can sit back and watch a film. But I like them both. But I think my first love would be theatre.
Okay. Another thing that you made was playing voice actor in the Emoji movie. Is this something special for you? Do you want to make more films like that?
Okay, well, I've got to let you into a secret. That isn't me. So there's a website out there that says I did it. Okay. But it wasn't me. So I could sit here and lie and say, yes, it was me who was in the Emoji movie. I'd love to get paid for it. But no, it wasn't me, actually.
But would you like to to be a voice actor in some movies in the future?
Yes, hell yes, yes. And the other Adam Brown who got the job, there's a new one in town that can do it better. So yeah, I only recently found out that was on my IMDb page as well, and I was like, do you know what? I can't remember doing that movie. So yeah, I didn't do it.
Okay. What can you tell us about your next projects?
Okay, my next project is quite exciting. I'm writing and starring in a comedy sci-fi that I've written with a company called Wild Seeds Movies, and we're shooting it next year, and it's going to be a very British, silly sci-fi.
Okay, so hope to see it soon. Is there any last thing you want to tell our viewers?
About what?
About yourself.
Okay.
Or an advice for them for the future if they want to go into them.
Some advice. Okay, advice. I don't know. I think the advice I would give is just keep doing it, keep at it. Always say yes. Always say yes to possibilities, because you never know. Doing a job when you're 16 with an aspiring director, give it 10 more years and he could be the next Peter Jackson. And I think everyone starts somewhere and people always remember you, and then I think you'll be prize, because this profession is tough. It is tough because you never know where the next job's coming from, but that also can be the most exciting thing about it as well.